So again, it all leads to entropy. Entropy basically says that we cannot exist in the same state in the other universe. So if something exists as a particle, a solid entity here, it has to exist as a wave. So like I said, all the radiation in our universe that exists as wave has to exist as photon and creates this dark energy, which is the mechanism for the universe to expand. Similarly, for us humans, we cannot exist our twin cannot exist in the same state. Right now in this restaurant, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 individuals in this restaurant. We all have our own individual bodies. Within our own individual bodies is our own brain, our own consciousness, call it whatever, our own soul. In fact, in quantum physics, they define it as information, and information cannot be lost. This is a statement of quantum physics. But in our own individual mind, we are our own little cosmos, our own little intelligence. But in the other negative universe, the 9 individual here has to exist as waves. So I said, if it's particle state, it has to be wave-like. Another phenomenon of physics is known as superposition of wave. When you have wave or fluid, call it whatever you want, like this 2 Chinese tea here, you pour one wave, one fluid into another one, it merges as one. Okay? So in this positive universe, the 9 of us cannot exist in the same space-time. If you try to squeeze us all together, we'll die. We'll make a messy, bloody state, basically. But in the other negative universe, our twin can coexist as one giant wave, one giant fluid, etc. Now again, a consequence of quantum physics is that you cannot lose any information. Information must always be conserved. So that means our knowledge, our consciousness, call it whatever you want, must also exist in the other universe, but our twin, the 9 people in this restaurant, exist as one giant wave with one combined knowledge, one combined conscious mind, call it whatever you want. But why limited to 9 in this restaurant? There's 9 billion people on this planet. So in the other negative universe, we have 6 billion individuals merged as one giant wave, one giant fluid, with the combined knowledge of this entire planet. But why limited to this planet? There could be other planets. In fact, there are other planets. Well, the big question is there other life? Is there high intelligence life? So in the other universe, again, as a consequence of the conservation of entropy, in the other universe, all the individual consciousness, all the information that exists as individual pockets of humanity, call it whatever you form, has to exist as one giant fluid with one combined information database, call it whatever. And that's my definition is this single omnipotent consciousness, which is, until 9 months ago, I couldn't use the word God, but now I can. So my single omnipotent consciousness, which is my scientific definition of God, is, and that is QED, God. Now, of course, I was asked by Bernard, sorry, did I pronounce your name correctly? Does that lead to a Holy Trinity? Well, I have my own Holy Trinity, and my Holy Trinity is actually the most basic numbers, prime numbers, which is 0, 1, and 2. Those are the most fundamental. I don't know if you could really call 0 a prime number, but by definition, it could be. So the 2 signifies obviously my 2 twin universe. The 1 signifies this single omnipotent consciousness definition of, quote, God. And the 0, for me, every physics phenomena has to have an energy, a force associated. Basically, that's how we interact with each other, interact with our universe, is through a force. Therefore, if I'm trying to give a true scientific definition to a twin universe and through this entity God, I also have to give some sort of force energy associated with that. Now, I use this force energy that associates us with God. I use the word love. Now, you could call it whatever you want, googly goo, gluons, whatever, but I call it love, you know. Now, it's associated with what we feel as love. I believe so. But obviously, the love that we experience here is not true love. It's corrupted by lust, by every other emotion that we miss, that we are surrounded with. But in the other negative universe, and the reason why it's significant to 0, because as you know, you divide anything with 0, you get infinite. Therefore, in the other universe, where God is bounded as one single entity, the force is infinitely strong. That's why you cannot separate the single entity. But we have this force which is not infinite. It's a finite force, just like, you know, a love between a man and a woman or a mother and a child. It's strong, but it's not infinitely strong. You know, but some people say the strongest force of attraction is between us, individual, and God. You know, and that's what most of humanity, even those atheists that don't claim that God will, they talk about God. You know, they talk about it. So in a way, they are associated with this God entity. And I believe that that's why there's this strong force. Again, I just call it love, but you can call it whatever you want. That is pulling us to try and find this God. You know, half of our world believe in it. Half the world claim they don't believe in it. But in truth, I think we all seek a greater meaning. You know, we just label it God, but you can call it whatever you want. And so I believe that that's what is the force. So that's my Holy Trinity, is that the zero divided by zero give you the infinite force, the attraction, that if you're in the negative universe, it's the infinite force of love that binds this godly entity. In our universe, the strength of love is not as infinite, it's not as strong, but it is a small force of it. The one signifies the single omnipotent consciousness, and the two, obviously the two twin universe. So that is my, call it scientific, mathematical, Holy Trinity.
So my very last question would be, is how do real scientists reply to your theory?
Well, obviously, I've sent my theory to all my physics friends, the science community, because I want to be proven right or wrong, because I'm a scientist, you know. If I'm proven wrong, then I'll hold my hand up and say, okay, great. You know, so my theory is readily available. In fact, I'm passing it around. Obviously, I wrote a book called Clystar. I'm obviously commercializing it now. But obviously, my theory is very, very scientific. So for your average Joe in the street, it's difficult when you talk about thermodynamics, quantum physics, duality principle. It's difficult. So I wrote a book to try and explain it in a sci-fi type story. In fact, that's how the journey started 15 years ago, actually, was from developing what I thought was just a pure sci-fi story. But obviously, it's evolved into this, call it monster, whatever it is, or I don't know, you can call it whatever. But I'm readily willing to debate this with any scientist, any religion, anyone, basically. You know, and that's obviously the reason why I'm here. You know, I totally now absolutely believe my theory. And obviously there are scientists that have given legitimate counter-argument that they feel that my theory cannot match. And I've come with further evidence, you know, so I'm not shied away from it. Oh, okay, I've tried my best to answer it. You know, obviously there are some questions that I cannot answer, like, you know, does my theory prove the existence of Jesus Christ? I don't know. I answer people like that with, you know what, I've proven God, but it doesn't mean I can think or act like God, you know? So there are some questions that, you know what, you need to ask God that, you know? Like, I'm too stupid compared to him. You know, so I can only take my explanation so far. You know, and I said to you, I believe science, truthfully, will prove that ultimately the twin universe is how our cosmos exists. As I mentioned to you, my theory is compatible with string theory, the 10 dimension. My theory also explains what dark matter and dark energy is. So I believe there are provable, you know, experiments that physics and science can do that will ultimately verify that the twin universe exists. Now, of course, it led me logically to find my scientific God. Now, whether it leads other people, so when people say, oh, all right, you win the Nobel Prize in Physics because you've proven the twin universe, but hey, where's God come into it? But hopefully I've explained through my logical, scientific explanation using entropy, duality principle. Like I say, I am saying, oh, you have to believe me. I'm trying to explain it as scientific manner as possible, using known scientific phenomena, known scientific reasoning, logic to lead to the conclusion that there's this single omnipotent consciousness, which is all of us. We're all part of God, basically. That's what I'm saying. You know, our twin exists there as a twin universe. So the question is, my theory is there for everyone to look at, and you know, you don't have to pay any money for it. It's freely available. You can tear into it. You can email me. You can call me. You can call me edit. As I said, I've been called some abusive name, but my explanation, before you call me abusive name, read my theory. Tell me where my theory is wrong. You know, I put in the wrong sign somewhere. And then if it's proven wrong, then yeah, then I'll call myself an idiot.